Welcome to the Donor Perfect Community Conference. I hope you guys are as excited to be here as I am. My name is Jonathan, and I will be your host for this session. You are in track number 1 and attending the session on how to revamp your online donation forms and increase the form's value. Before I introduce your speaker, I want to remind you to stick around at the conclusion of this session for a Q&A. You can submit any questions you have during the session, and don't forget to take the poll in the sidebar to submit your interest in learning more about this topic. That poll will be posted shortly. All right, our speaker today, we have Sean Mac McClellan. Mac has worked with Donor Perfect for nearly 6 years, splitting his time between support and training. His favorite topics are data entry, best practices, and reporting, but he really loves watching his clients bring everything together and turning their knowledge into fundraising and mission success. In his spare time, Mac enjoys writing, gaming, hiking, and kayaking. He has 3 cats named Opie, Jax, and Nico. All right, Sean, go ahead and take it away.
All right, thank you so much, Jonathan. So, as my colleague said, we're going to be getting into taking your online forms, we're going to revamp them, and we're going to help increase their value. So again, I'm going to be your speaker for today, and my name is Sean Mac McClellan. There's a couple of Seans, so we like to have fun nicknames to differentiate ourselves. If you'd like to connect with me after the presentation, feel free. My slide has all of this information in it as well. So hit me up on LinkedIn or shoot me an email and we can get talking. So today's agenda, we are going to get into setting up a donation page. We're going to talk about different ways to elevate your form. We're going to talk about a couple of different ways to share your forms. If you were in my fall presentation last year about Giving Tuesday, I'm going to be revisiting a favorite topic of mine. And we're also going to discuss reporting on your success. So first, let's talk about setting up those donation forms. So as a little bit of a review, a Donor Perfect form is an online option that collects donors' gifts and contact information and allows for immediate receipt generation via email. They make it easy to offer secure, PCI-compliant donation pages that can be placed on your website, included in email campaigns, or shared on social media. Best of all, they integrate directly into your Donor Perfect system, allowing you to avoid time-consuming and potentially messy imports. I don't know about anybody else, but I really dislike working on an import file, putting all that data in there, and then realizing that all of that time was wasted and I've got to do it again. They're also mobile responsive and easy to embed on your website's organization's website. You just need that URL code. They're also simple to build, easy to use, and incredibly effective. So if we go into Donor Perfect and we go under online forms, today we're going to be focusing on the drag and drop form builder. So if you have access to that, you'll see under apps, your online forms will have a little side toggle. You select your drag and drop form builder. And you're able to see your list of forms. To edit a form, all you have to do is click on the name, and that takes you right into the editor. If you want to make changes, all you have to do is use our new and simple drag and drop interface. So for example, if I wanted to put in a little bit of descriptive text, I just got to drag that in there, type in what I want. If I want to remove something, I have to simply delete it. If you're looking to edit a certain item, gone are the days of navigating the side menu. You just click on the item that you want to modify and you are good to go. So for example, with my gift amounts, I can just click on the gift, enter in the different amounts that I want, put in new default options. I can update my impact stories, which we will be talking about in a little bit here. These are a super important tool, especially if you're trying to pull in younger donors. They really respond well to impact stories. We can also change the different amounts between one-time and monthly. So no longer do you have to choose just one type of donation to focus your amounts on. We can toggle. So I have 100, 50, 25, and 10 for my monthly. smaller amounts since they'll be giving multiple times a year. But for my one time, I can go a little bigger, 500, 250, 150. If you want to change up your form styler, you can update your background. You can change your buttons. And one of the nicest things about this is we have a color dropper right in there. So you don't have to memorize a bunch of RGB codes or hex codes or just guess. Like, you can just pick a part of your screen that you want to mimic, and it'll grab that color for you. Coding fields coding your forms has never been easier. The hidden fields button is right there, very prominent. You don't have to go digging for it. And you can either choose one of the 4 automatically included fields. We've got your campaign, your general ledger, your solicitation, and your sub-solicitation. You can also add additional hidden fields from the gift screen. And so if I wanted to assign this to a particular QuickBooks class, if I'm integrating with QuickBooks, just have to select it and assign the code. If you want to take that off of your hidden fields, you just click the delete button. And finally, customizing the confirmation page. All you have to do is type in what you want. It's a what you see is what you get or WYSIWYG editor. You can insert images, add new messages, and all you have to do is update. And no longer do you have to send an email manually after somebody fills out the form. They go, they fill out the form, they make their donation, it downloads into your database. An email is either sent directly from the form, or if you prefer to have it use the email templates in your database, you can select Donor Perfect template, and we can choose, for example, our standard thank you, or we could choose, given the theme of our form here, I can choose my Summer of Love thank you. And now whenever somebody makes a donation, it will, if I go into my email templates, it's going to use my Endless Summer of Love thank you. Also, as you make your changes, everything saves automatically. And then when you're ready for that to go live, you click the Publish button. And then from here, you can copy the link, you can view your form, and we'll be talking about this new addition to our online forms toolkit, the QR code, later in this presentation. But you can also generate those QR codes. And again, if you're looking to embed, you just click the copy link option. So one of the most important parts in setting up your form is making sure that you have the best donation amounts to match your audience. Every organization is different. Every donor in every organization is going to be different. You might have some donors who give a one-time large donation each year. Holiday season rolls around and you get a $1,000 check, once a year like clockwork. But you might also have donors that can't really afford to drop, that much money in one go, and so they might give you, $50 a month. That's going to be a smaller gift amount, but it'll add up over time. So when it comes to setting up donation amounts on your form, you want to make sure that you are offering a range of donation options that your donors are comfortable giving at. For example, if most of your donors are giving between $25 and $50, we want to make sure that we have a $25 donation button and a $50 donation button. If that's where most of our donors are giving and we have a $500 button on there, we're probably leaving money on the table because they see that, they see that $500 button, they go, it's a little rich for my blood, and maybe they do a write-in for a smaller amount if we're lucky, or possibly they might just close that form and move on to something else. Maybe they'll send you a check later. So to help you determine what values are going to make the most sense for your database, we recommend checking out the gift range report. So this report, it's a financial report in everybody's system. It allows you to look at your data and see what levels your donors are giving at. So for your monthly giving, we can run it based off of the average gift amount. And for the one-time gifts, maybe we want to swing for the fences and we'll base our values off of the maximum amount. So in Donor Perfect, we go into reports, we check out the report center. And like I said, this is going to be one of your financial reports. So my gift range report's floating up to the top because I run this pretty regularly, but if you can't find it, you can always search. And if it's not already one of your favorites, go ahead and click on the gray star, make it gold, and it'll pop up in your favorites folder as well. Now, this report utilizes calculated fields in your database. So by default, it'll start at maximum amount. So that's their largest one-time donation. But you might also look for, average amount, or if you're fundraising for a particular, fund, or as part of a particular campaign, you might build a calculated field just for that to make sure that your values are accurate to, even that smaller, more specific audience. You can enter gift split ranges. So my ranges, for example, will be $1 to $10, $10 to $25, $25 to $50. We don't have to create the bookends on it. We just say where we want each new segment to start, and the report will do the rest. If you want to save those split levels, you absolutely can. And if you want to, we could also, apply a selection filter. So for example, I might just want to pull individuals because my organizations, they're probably not going to be donating on an online form. They're more likely to send a check. So I can go main bio, donor type is equal to individual. Click this green button to run the report, and I can see I've got 26 donors at my 25 to 49 range. I've got 73 donors to my 50 to 99 range. I've got 86 donors to my 200 to 500 range. I've got 90 donors between 500 and 1,000. I've even got 72 donors at 1,000 to 9,000. So I can take this information, go back into my form, and for my one-time gift amounts, I could potentially either up all of these values, or I could add a $1,000 amount. Because again, the data supports, we've got a decent number of donors at the 1,000 level. They might be more than willing to put a $1,000 donation in through our form. So if we wanted to add that option, I simply would click add an amount, type in the new value, and I have my $1,000 option. Oops, I accidentally moved some of my fields, but the nice thing is all I have to do is drag and drop and take care of that. And then under amount settings, I can also toggle if I want to do one-time, monthly, if I want to default to one-time or monthly, and we can also include the description of our gift impact. And if I want to remove an amount, again, just use the trash can, cleans it up very easily. So again, that's the gift range report. I definitely recommend checking that out. It's going to be a financial report. And you can run that for more than just max amount. Really any field in your database, on any system calculated field in your database is going to be fair game. So for example, here's a potential range of monthly giving amounts. So now we're going to get into elevating our form. We have the basics of the form. We have some donation amounts, everything to make it work. We want to take it to the next level. So first, let's talk about those impact statements. An impact statement is an important part of your nonprofit story and mission that lets your donors and prospective donors know what, how, and why your organization does what it does. For many donors, especially millennial and Gen Z donors, impact statements can become the deciding factor on whether or not they will support a particular nonprofit. In a lot of cases, your younger donors don't have the same amount of money to donate, so they tend to be much more specific, much more deliberate in which organizations that they are supporting. So if they don't know anything about you, they're likely to move on and find an organization that is willing to share that information up front. So donor perfect forms provide the opportunity to share an impact story, not just for each form, but also for each donation amount. So the more donation amounts you offer, the more chances you have of sharing exactly how their funds, their money, is going to improve your organization. Now, to get the most out of your impact statements, you want to follow these 3 rules. First, keep the statement short, simple, and to the point. Donors don't want to read an essay before they make their donation, or I should say most donors probably don't want to read an essay before they make their donation. For example, the impact of a $10 monthly gift might be as simple as helps feed 2 shelter animals each month. To help kind of enforce this rule, donor perfect forms have a 50-character limit for your impact statements. So make sure that each word, each letter, each character counts. Also, be specific. You're not here to talk about everything you have going on. Focus on 1 or 2 programs or projects that tie into the greater themes of your form. For example, this form is all about raising money to help with our Endless Summer of Love event, fictional event, where we're trying to make it easier for people to adopt shelter animals. So we are talking about how donations can help make it easier to adopt the animals in our shelters. And also, this one's really important. I catch myself doing this when I'm working with clients that are part of nonprofits, but we want to make sure we avoid jargon and specialized language. Remember, your donors aren't part of each meeting, conversation, email, Teams message, Slack message, text that you and your team are part of. Avoid words like solicitation or general ledger. We want to use plain language writing to ensure that donors understand what their gifts are supporting. So again, if we check out the form, like I said, with the donation amounts, we can say not only for each type of donation, one time versus monthly, but I can also say exactly what each donation amount is going to cover. So $500 covers the adoption fee for 5 animals. $250 covers it for 3. If I move over to monthly giving amounts, $100. Now this is monthly, so I have to change the text a little bit. $100 a month, that helps us cover the adoption fees for 20 animals per year. And again, we're keeping it short, sweet. We're focusing on a particular part of the mission, those adoption fees, and we're avoiding jargon. Every word here, the average person is going to be able to see it and understand it. Now, let's talk about, I would say, arguably everybody's favorite processor, and that is PayPal. So in chat, let me know if you have used PayPal or Venmo in the last year. Whether it's to donate, to buy something online, to pay back a friend for lunch or dinner. But if you've used PayPal, just pop that in the chat for me. All right, well, I don't see any answers flowing in just yet, but just so you know, 435, there they are, there's everybody. 435 million people used PayPal in 2022. So that is a lot of people that are using this tool. Again, not just to donate, but everyday shopping, giving their roommates money for bills, paying for dinner, if you don't want to split the check at the restaurant. Now, digital wallets like PayPal and Venmo are becoming more and more popular each year. And in fact, according to a study by Logica Research, 31% of US respondents said they would not have made their donation without PayPal being offered as an option. So that is almost a third of all people in the US saying that if they can't use PayPal, they don't want to donate. And studies have shown that including PayPal as a payment option on your forms can increase unplanned gifts by 32% and repeat donations by as much as 79%. Also, donors who use PayPal are 15% more likely to have a positive donation experience, and 38% of would-be donors have abandoned a donation because PayPal is not available on the organization's website. Also, individuals who use PayPal, they're almost 4 times more likely to donate when PayPal becomes an option. So in the new forms, when you go under select your payment method, you have the option now to link a PayPal account, a business account, to your forms. And then when donors make a one-time donation, so monthly donations will still process through your SafeSave payment processing gateway. But if your donors make a one-time donation, they will see the additional option of PayPal, which will allow them to use PayPal for anything out of their PayPal accounts, anything through Venmo. I believe PayPal also allows them to donate using crypto. There's lots of options become available. The pay later options. Now, if somebody does use pay later, your organization will receive the full donation up front. The donor will pay it off over time. So definitely something to keep in mind in your forms. All you need is a PayPal business account. You just link it, and you can start processing PayPal and Venmo donations through your online form. Next, let's talk about sharing the form. We have our form, we have our donation amounts, we've put in our impact statements, we have our PayPal account connected. How do we get it out there? If people don't know where to get to that form, it doesn't matter what work we've done so far, it's just going to sit there. So once you have your form set up, you can share it out through a variety of ways. You can put your forms on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. You can use TikTok if you're savvy enough to figure out that platform. That's the one that really still eludes me to this day. While our online forms have a shortened link option, you may also want to consider using a Bitly account or something similar to create shorter custom links. That allows you to create those links that are easier to put on websites where you have a character limit, or if you wanted to put a shortened link on a poster or in a journal ad, so that way people can access your website more easily. And then with our drag and drop forms, you can, as I said, easily embed those forms directly into your organization's website. If you use our constant contact email partner, you can include email lists in those email blasts that you send out. You generate a campaign, you create a list in Donor Perfect using your filters, send that list over to Constant Contact, include the donation link in your email and send that out. And you can also create QR codes for online donations. So if your organization still uses a lot of physical media, again, posters, journal ads, you're sending out lots of letters, but you want to try to transition people into giving online, you receive the money faster, it shows up in your Donor Perfect system with all the codes, can reduce, maybe one day even eliminate a lot of manual data entry. You can start that by utilizing those QR codes. So if you attended our presentation on Giving Tuesday and end of year fundraising last fall, you might remember me gushing about QR codes in conjunction with Donor Perfect forms. If you were, I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to listen to me do it again. So what is a QR code? It's a tool that provides an easy to use method for your donors to give directly to your donation pages, and you can also use it to have them connect to your website. For example, you could scan that QR code right there, and it's going to take you back to this donation page. Again, this is a fictional page, so please do not fill out the form. Don't make a donation on it, but if you wanted to check out to see how that works, all you have to do is pull your phone up, scan it, it'll take you right to the page. Use those QR codes in your printed mailings. Hopefully gone are the days of having to wait for the donor to open your letter, write a check, mail it back, enter it into your database. Hopefully, with your letters, you're sending some little slip for them to also fill out, so that way you know exactly what appeal they're responding to. Otherwise, you're making a guess. And then putting that information into the system via imports, gift batch, or a manual process. By having the QR code, they get the letter, they scan it, they donate it. A couple minutes later, it's sitting in your database. A couple days later, the money's in your account. So this can hopefully save your team time, because they don't have to work on all that data entry. And also, it makes sure that the codes are correct every time. You can also put your QR codes up in your community. If you have posters that you want to put on local bulletin boards, for example, there's a grocery store near me. I've seen some local nonprofits, they have, volunteer forms. They've got donation, posters. They've got QR codes. They've got tearaway slips. They're using their community to, spread the word about their mission. You can also use QR codes in your digital communications. If you do so, definitely recommend include a clickable link. So for example, if my QR code doesn't want to scan for some reason, maybe I've got a thumbprint smudge on my camera, I can still click and I can still load that form. And now, if you are a Donor Perfect user, people have asked for it, we have built it. There's now a free QR code generator available not only in Donor Perfect, but also in the online forms and in the knowledge base. So in the form, if you click on share, there's a QR code button that appears. Just have to click on that, enter in the link for the form, and it has downloaded the QR code onto my computer, and I can start putting that wherever I want. If you are in Donor Perfect, you can go under Mailings Mail Merge, and there's a Generate a QR code button down here as well, next to the Instant Merge option. So you can download your letters, generate your QR code, and then you can go ahead and put that right in your letter. It's just a regular image file. You copy it, you paste it, you're good to go. And if you happen to be in the knowledge base already, you can check out the article, What are QR codes and how can you use them? And that will take you to the knowledge base generator as well. So I'm a huge fan of QR codes. I use them a lot, especially now post-pandemic. A lot of restaurants are using QR codes. You don't have to worry about somebody bringing you a menu. Honestly, a lot of people are using QR codes, so it's a tool that people are already familiar with. So 152% increase in QR code usage in 2022 versus previous years. 57% of adults in the US have already used a QR code. So that means that, again, almost 2/3 of people are already familiar with the technology. The barrier of entry is super low. You don't have to teach them how to use it. They already know how to use it. If you've been to, like I said, if you've been to a restaurant in the last year or two, you've probably scanned a QR code. And then 89 million smartphone users in the US have scanned a QR code since 2020. Now, that's almost a quarter of the US population. That's an enormous group of people that can be tapped to start donating using this tool right away. And I see Joel Brinkley has placed a very useful link in the chat for some more information about the QR code, so definitely check that out as well. All right, so let's get into our wrap up, and then we can turn it over to a Q&A. So one change you may have noticed as we were working with the new forms is that they don't use the same Review and Acceptance Center or RAC that you may be familiar with from the classic forms, but instead have a brand new report in your Donor Perfect system called the Donor Perfect Donation Forms Summary Report. You can use this report to see who is giving online. You can see which forms are getting the most traffic. It showcases key data, including payment types, transaction IDs, which is an excellent way to reconcile with your gateway, and whether or not that gift is part of a monthly giving pledge. And for those of you with scheduled reports, this can be scheduled to run daily, weekly, or monthly, allowing you to keep track of this information automatically. So if we go into Donor Perfect, again, this is a financial report, Donor Perfect Donation Form Summary. And I would recommend just keyword searching forms. If you can't find it, it'll pop right up for you. Yeah. We can run this report, for the last, we'll go May of this year to present, run the report. And we have the name of the donor. We have the name of the form. So we can see I've got a few Endless Summer of Love 2023 donations. We can see the date the donation came in. We can see the amount, whether it's a monthly gift or not. If it is, clicking on that will take us into the pledge itself so we can see the details of that pledge. We can see the gift type, payment method. So the gift type will be credit card in most cases, and then the payment type will let you know which card. Transaction ID in case you ever need to reconcile with your processing gateway. The solicitation assigned by the form, and the general ledger code. And then it also provides you with a summary where you can see the total number of donors, total number of donations, and the amount of money raised. If you need to email this to your accounting team, click on the send button. And again, if you have access to the scheduled reports option, you can have it schedule out to send automatically. So if you want to get a weekly update and you're not somebody that spends a lot of time in Donor Perfect, go in there and set it up, or have a coworker sign in and send that report out to you on a weekly basis. So our takeaways from today: use the new Donor Perfect forms to create easy to use and easy to share donation pages. They're drag and drop. You don't have to remember if something's under basics or if it's under fields and items. You just click on the tool that you want to make a change to. You want to edit those gift amounts, click on the gift amount. You want to add a new field, drag and drop it to the exact spot you want. Make sure to include impact statements. Again, that can really drive donations from younger donors. And include PayPal. Again, so many people are using PayPal. What did we say? It was like a third of all people in the U.S. were using PayPal. That's a huge amount of people using one tool. Include that, your donations are likely to increase. And again, create those QR codes. Especially if you are an organization that still does a lot of physical mailings, it's a great way to try to start transitioning donors from writing checks and tearing away, the little code slips that you can use to put your information into the database accurately, and get them moved online. Could be a great way to get people to sign up for memberships, great way to get people to sign up for monthly giving, and just gets the money flowing into your account faster. So at this time, my colleague Jonathan's going to rejoin me. He's going to take a look at the Q&A options, and we'll take care of some folks' questions.
Sean, thank you so much. That was a great session. And I love to see so much activity in the chat. Not only just great questions coming in, but also I love to see users of Donor Perfect interacting with each other and answering each other's questions. There were some great questions in the Q&A. Please don't hesitate to continue asking your questions, both in the live chat and in the Q&A. We'll do our best to answer as many questions as we can, but we might not be able to get to everybody. So, Sean, can you see the Q&A as well? If not, I'm going to read some questions out loud for you.
Yep, I can see it. Feel free to read them out, though.
Sure. So I did see a few questions get asked by multiple different people. So some of those I'm going to highlight. So there was a question about how many Donor Perfect forms you can create at once. Talk to us about that.
My understanding is there is not an upper limit. I mean, we store everything on a server, so if you somehow create 1 billion forms, we might have to ask you to pump the brakes on that. But as far as, functionally, you can create as many online forms as you need.
I love the 1 billion as the example. Yeah, so I don't think there's a set limit, but you can, essentially make as many as you'll need. I got this question a few times as well. So how often should you change or update your online form? Should you do a new one for each new campaign or solicitation? So this is looking at some best practices for your forms.
Yeah, no, this is a great question. So for kind of your standard donation page, I would recommend kind of like what we say with mailings and with receipts. You want to have some pretty regular updates. Change your banner image, change up some of the text a little bit. We want to keep it fresh, especially for people that are coming back to your forums or making donations multiple times, because you want your donors to know that you're putting the effort in. That you're not just going to rely on the same tactic over and over and over again. The more work that they see that you're doing, the more they're going to appreciate that, and that appreciation will hopefully turn into financial support, or at the very least, maybe they'll sign up and volunteer. As far as your different campaigns or different appeals, I would say each appeal or each campaign should have its own form, because you're going to be changing the codes. Your spring appeal form is going to have different codes than your mid-year appeal or your year-end or holiday appeal. So I would definitely recommend creating new forms. That way, when you get set up for spring of 2024, you can look back, see what your spring 2023 form looked like, and kind of use that as a frame of reference. Whereas if you change that form to work for your summer appeal, now you don't really have that historic record to look back on.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So I guess one of the things to emphasize there is not only the setup of the form in regards to what it looks like and what sort of branding you have on the form being different for each campaign, but very importantly is the item codes on the form. So if you have one campaign that has certain solicitation codes, and then you're starting a new campaign, which will have different solicitation codes on the back end, you'll want to make sure you have a unique form setup that has codes that correspond with that particular campaign or solicitation. That way, every donation that comes in is coded correctly automatically once it comes into Donor Perfect.
Absolutely. Yeah, and with the new forms, it's really easy to change the logo. You just click on the upload button. It'll pop up, and you can just grab the new. I'm uploading the same picture because it's the only one I have, but it's very easy to upload that new image. And I haven't used Canva a whole lot myself, but I've had clients rave. I've had colleagues rave about Canva. So that's definitely a tool. Shout out to them. Check if you're somebody who isn't like me, super savvy with design, but you don't have somebody else on your team that can do it. Give Canva a look, and you can use that to create some new banners, and you can rotate through those throughout the year.
Nice. Now, in regards to when someone is sort of retiring a form, let's say they completed their summer event from 2022, and they want to put a new form out for their summer 2023 campaign. So I want you to talk about sort of the deactivating of a form, because someone had a question about if they deactivate a current form and they create a new one, what happens to the recurring donors on the form that they have deactivated? So just talk about what happens to those recurring donations when you change or deactivate a form?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the classic forms, if you deactivate them and somebody somehow stumbles upon that link and they try to make a donation, it'll let them know it's deactivated. The new forms at this time do not have a deactivate option. If they exist, they are good to go. They will accept donations. If you delete a form, if somebody has a link, it's just going to give them, your typical 404, not found error there. If a form is deleted, but somebody has a monthly giving pledge set up, that's going to be just fine. After the initial donation, all recurring donations are handled under tasks monthly giving. So if I start a donation with the Endless Summer of Love 2023 form that I showcased, and let's say in September that gets deleted for some reason, my pledge is still going to run, because at that point, Donor Perfect is taken over.
It's a great clarification to make, just so that no one's concerned about, removing their form. The monthly recurring donation still processes, because all that's already been brought into the system of Donor Perfect.
Yep.
Can you talk about there's the new forms. When someone donates, the record of the donation just automatically comes into Donor Perfect. For those Donor Perfect users that are used to our classic forms, they're familiar with the rack, which is where they review and then manually accept the donations to bring them into Donor Perfect. If someone was concerned about unwanted duplicates, do you have any helpful advice into how to reduce duplicates, or maybe just eliminate some of the concern about what that process is like, since it's automatically coming over?
Yep, so when somebody fills out the form, the donation will appear in Donor Perfect within a couple of minutes. I'm going to try to put a test donation in here just to showcase this. Now, the record matching for the new forms uses what we call fuzzy logic. So it actually is able to check a couple of different combinations of data to try to find the best record for it. And then once it downloads, it'll show up in the donor's record, or if it was not able to find a match, it'll create a duplicate. So mine hasn't downloaded yet. We can check that in just a moment. See when it shows up there. Unfortunately, duplicate records, it's part of the process. People tend to be overall kind of chaotic. We're messy. Our data is oftentimes going to be chaotic and messy for that reason. So if you need to merge duplicates, you have the ability to do so under utilities. Always make sure you back up the database first, so that way if you accidentally merge the wrong person, maybe John Smith and other John Smith are two different people, you can restore that backup. But otherwise, you can use the merge duplicate tool in order to find those duplicate records and get them consolidated. So right now, my system doesn't have any duplicates, which is lovely. But if it did, it would let us know, and we'd be able to merge them.
That's good. And I want to re-emphasize something that you were saying, is that this process on the new donation forms, where the record of the donation automatically comes over into Donor Perfect, it really is a much better and more streamlined process. And I just want, if anyone is concerned about duplicate records being created, I sort of want to bring a little bit of peace to that fear that you might be having. Is at some point you are going to have duplicate records. And it's not the end of the world, because we have a tool built into Donor Perfect that helps you search for potentially duplicate records and identify them and merge them together. It's going to happen. Someone's going to type in their name incorrectly, or they're going to use a nickname for their first name instead of their proper name that you have in their record in Donor Perfect. So even if you're doing everything that you should, sometimes you're going to have some duplicate records created. And there's a tool built in to really easily identify them. This process of the record of the donation automatically coming over really is going to streamline your workflow, rather than needing to manually download the record of the donations.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and even if you're not checking your duplicates on a regular basis, before you have your big appeal of the year or your big invitation, your big event, and you want to create like your mailing list, it's always good to do a merge then. And then December or January for our U.S. clients, February for our Canadian clients, like checking for duplicates before you send out those consolidated receipts. So as long as you're checking your database, keeping on top of that, you're going to find those duplicates and get them taken care of.
Awesome. And Sean, I know this is like pretty elementary, but I think we had some people like join the session late. Do you mind just showing us from the home screen of Donor Perfect how to access these new forms?
Yep. So if the new forms are part of your Donor Perfect system, you go under Apps, you go to Online Forms, and then you'll have the drag and drop form builder. We are rolling these out over time, so if you don't have access to the new forms now, just keep checking in, and we will get them added to your system over the next several months. And that brings you to the new forms. Basically, the new forms version of the rack, like I said, doesn't have access to all the same information. Your organization name will be here at the top. It'll tell you how many donations have come through, how much money has been raised. You can edit a form, view a form, you can share it, and from here you can also, second way to edit, but then you can also copy a form. So for example, next year if I want to keep most of the same themes from my 2023 form, I can just copy it, make the changes I need to make, and I'm good to go.
That's great. Yeah. So if you have the same type of event that you're hosting every year or multiple times in a year, rather than needing to start a brand new form completely from scratch, you can easily copy your existing form, change the name of the form, and change all the codes in the back end. But all the work you've put into styling the form will copy over.
Yep. Now, I do want to highlight something that Jonathan just said. Right now, the new forms are just for one-time and recurring donations. We are developing, event forms, volunteer forms. We're going to bring all of the functionality that you're used to the new forms. We're just one step at a time. So right now, it's one-time recurring donations. If you want to set something up, for example, for your events, anything like that, you're still going to be using the classic forms right now.
Awesome. Can you show us, so there's a question about the impact statement. So if I'm asking someone to give, they can give in increments of, $5, $10, $15. Show again where you can change the impact statement of what that donation is going to help with.
Yeah, so when you are editing the form, all you have to do is click on your donation option. It'll pop up here on the side. If your impact statements are not already visible under amount settings, you can toggle the description of gift impact on or off. When you create a new form, which I can show what that looks like in just a moment, it'll ask you if you want to include impact statements or not. And then as far as adding the impact statement, you just have to type in what you're looking for. Like I said, there is a maximum character limit. So mine are going right up on the edge of what's allowed. And you want to keep it to the point, keep it focused, and avoid using a lot of jargon and technical terms. But when you are adding a new form, the first question it's going to ask is what kind you want. And if you don't know what your impact statements are going to be right now, you can go with just donation amounts and you can turn it on later. And if you decide, hey, we don't really like to use the impact statements, they're not really doing a whole lot for us, you can always turn them off.
All right, I know we didn't get a chance to answer everybody's questions, but we are going to wrap up this session now. This is going to end at 1:20 p.m. Eastern Time. For those who don't already have plans for the next session they're going to attend, tracks 1 and 2 have sessions that are starting promptly at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 11 minutes from now. And track 3 has a session that's starting at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So that is 40 minutes from now. Sean, any closing remarks that you'd like to end with before we stop this session?
No, I hope everybody found this presentation to be informative. Hopefully you're walking away with a new tool for your toolkit. Thank you so much for attending, and if you haven't already, download the slide deck. I've got links to a lot of the sources for some of those statistics that I rattled off. So if you want to do a little bit more reading, you can absolutely access those through the slide deck. And just thanks for taking the time to join us today and tomorrow. We're so glad you're here.
Yeah, absolutely. We are so glad you're here. Everyone, thank you for joining. Thank you for participating. If we didn't get around to your question, please reach out to the technical support team. We're happy to have a one-on-one conversation with you to answer all of your questions about these forms or anything Donor Perfect related. And we look forward to seeing you at the next session. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Take care.
Thank you, Sean.